Welcome to this episode of CP Conversations. Today I'm talking to Jeris Getter. Jeris is an assistant linebackers coach at the University of Dayton, the first coach with cerebral palsy in the school's history. He's also the first person in his family to attend college. Now he has a master's degree in sports science. Welcome to the show, Jeris.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And, I wanted to start out by talking about what it was like for you growing up with cerebral palsy. What was your experience at school dealing with bullies and, trying to make friends?
So basically, my school life was kind of a little rough. Trying to make friends knowing you're in that different kind of realm than other kids. You're, leg braces, and not a lot of kids know how to handle that. So their out is to just shove you off to the side. So I think I know I'm really approachable now, and I was when I was a kid. So being really approachable and personable was a huge thing for me. And trying to make those friends was a little bit on the difficult side, just because a lot of people didn't really understand what was going on. And as a small kid, you don't really take the time to figure it out. You just go along with it, and like being outcasted as the weird kid.
Right.
And this quote unquote, I mean, it was kind of rough. I mean, you gotta look at, as a small kid, you just want to be a kid. You just want to go out and play on the playground, or you want to play sports, or you want to, just fit in. And I think finding my spot was a big struggle. I mean, I had a few friends, but not too many, and it's still like that today.
Wow. So what did you do? Because you said that you made it a point to be personable. Is that something that you figured out early on, where maybe if you disarmed people and the reactions that they had towards you, that maybe they would open up a little bit more?
Right. I think the vulnerability and being personable, even as a small kid, figuring out that you were different, and then moving on from that point, moving forward, I think it was a little bit, it was tough, but I think my main purpose and goal was to just be nice to everybody, and whoever latched on, and whoever didn't. And I mean, I had a few friends, and that's all I really needed to get by. It really stunk not being, upper echelon of popularity, because when you're a kid, that's all that matters. Like, you just want to fit in, you want to be one of the popular kids. And come to find out, 8 years removed from high school, the popularity doesn't really necessarily mean anything.
That's right.
So it's kind of, from that perspective, as a small kid growing up, going through high school, just trying to fit in, and, being handicapped and not being able to play sports, and limiting, what I could do with other people. And they just kind of outcasted me as that person.
Yeah, I think all of us with disabilities, cerebral palsy or any other disability, we can all relate to that. And just to touch on what you said, how does cerebral palsy affect you?
So I have mild CP on my left-hand side. So you see my lazy eye, it affects my left-hand side motor skills. It affects it affects, running, jumping, anything like that. Strong hand stuff. If I wanted to go lift weights, I mean, it's a little bit tougher. And I mean, it affects me every morning, every day in some way. You get a little, hitch in your step, or you kind of lose balance a little bit. And
We've all been there.
yeah, exactly. We've all been in that position. So, I mean, sometimes it's just, I forget it's there sometimes, just because it's so normal for me, almost 27 years on this earth with it. So I think looking for that perspective, it's kind of just like a normal thing for me. I don't really view it as, oh, it affects me negatively. Like, this is just the hand I was dealt. So just kind of went along with it.
Yeah, that's you're living life with cerebral palsy. And something that's very interesting about you is that you live in a small town and you grew up on a farm, right?
Yes.
Now, that's just, to me, I think, well, number one, just growing up on a farm alone, that's a pretty unique thing to say about yourself and your family. But having a disability, what did that bring to the table, as far as, did you have to help out on the farm? And if you did, how did cerebral palsy come into play?
Yeah, I still had to help. I still had to go. I still had to go bale hay in the summers. So
Okay.
yeah, I still had to get my butt up on the tractors and
Were you up when the roosters?
I was up when the roosters were gawking at 5 a.m. baling hay. What we call a holiday hay around here. So Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. That's the big three with getting the hay cut up and putting it on the bins and then going
Wow.
making sure the twine goes around it and then throwing it up in the hayloft. And luckily I didn't have to throw it up in the hayloft. I was on the pull behind and just had to make sure that when they were shooting out of the bin to
It's
tie
hard
the
work. It's physically laborious work, right?
yeah, so it's really difficult work. So
Yeah.
the hay baler that ties the rope around and makes the stacks of hay that you see, I had to just make sure that they were straight and not falling off the back with me.
Wow.
So I mean, kind of, I'm a big guy, so I think a lot of my strength came from farm work, and I was never afraid of hard work. So I was shoveling stalls and cleaning chicken crap and baling hay. And
that's right. It prepares you for, like you said, hard work. Exactly. Now, after you graduated from college in 2017, you decided to email as many coaches as you possibly could to see if you could get any responses close to home. Tell us what happened after you sent out approximately 75 emails to some small colleges and high schools.
Okay, so usually when you speak about that passion that you have for sports and for football and all these things, they're like, all right, but what can you do? Usually when you're just like, yeah, I played some Madden on my PlayStation, they don't really see that as you don't know what you're doing. So a lot of the big name schools or the big colleges kind of
let's back up for a second. So because I forgot to let everybody know that you actually have never played football yourself.
Never once, never played a down of organized football in my life. My passion for the game came at a very young age. I dove right into it. I could tell you stats. I could tell you positions. I've been breaking down game film since I was like 13. That's where I spent most of my time on Friday and Saturday nights when everybody else was out, doing stuff and out with friends or going to parties or anything like that. I was sitting in my room on YouTube back in the day, and back before I even had a laptop. I had an old Samtron desktop computer. So that's how far back this goes. So I had a Samtron desktop computer, and I would watch film on YouTube and break it down that way. And what would happen was I would learn everything that I possibly could just so I could bring some to the table. But the hard part about that is when I emailed those 75 schools, respectively, they were just like, no, we don't see any benefit. But luckily, I kind of struck gold close to home in a way, and got with Nick Johnson at Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana, and I saw his feature on ESPN with one Mr. Gene Wojciechowski about his wife who was battling cancer. I reached out to him after that feature aired. Didn't hear nothing, and I understood why. One night, the following June, so you're talking like 8-9 months, I get this Facebook message that Nick Johnson accepted my message request. I said, who's Nick Johnson and what message did I even send this man? I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. And it was, the football, thing that I was talking to him about. And he said, come on in for an interview. I'd love to sit down and talk to you. And, by happenstance, that's how I got my start in college football.
I just want to remind everybody, I say this all the time on the show when I talk to people like yourself who you just go for it. It doesn't matter if you have cerebral palsy or any other disability. If you want to do something and you have a passion and a desire, you can make something happen. You literally called that into your life. This whole experience of you being an assistant linebackers coach. If you didn't take that initiative, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So that's just an amazing part of your story. And, I know that your coach described you in an article and he said that you're just one of the most amazing human beings that he'd ever met. And how did it feel to be not only, accepted to be, and it was part of a volunteer program
Yeah.
that they brought you on. And do you think that you're going to pave the way for maybe for them to actually hire people with disabilities?
Right. So it's funny that you bring that question up because I always viewed myself as the guy to pave the way for everybody. Like I wanted to be the guy. Like I was just like, let's, get people with impairments in sports. I mean, you see people with Down syndrome being an equipment manager. Like that's great. Like, don't get me wrong, that's awesome. Like that's the most wonderful thing anybody could do. But I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to be that person that I want to be the trailblazing guy. 70, 80, 90, 100 years from now, when they're talking about guys that paved the way in college football or professional football, either way, whichever way I go, I want to be the guy that's talked about. Like, I want my name to be mentioned. And
And
I
it will
think,
be.
yeah, I think me paving the way is a fantastic thing for me to do. And you say, my coach at Dayton said, one of the best people to work for, one of the family in that article. And to be accepted by them, Rick Chamberlain is the most wonderful, down to earth human I have ever met. He took me under his wing and mentored me. He has seasoned me up to be a better coach. He has prepared me to move forward when my time comes, or he has positioned me to move further up the ladder in Dayton to where I get paid to do this.
That's
So,
great.
so right now it's kind of in that transitioning period,
Yeah.
but the man has, without a doubt, been someone that I have leaned on and relied on. And even then, and I'm sure we'll dive into how I got a Dayton here in a couple minutes, but just to preface, he is a wonderful man and he has taught me a lot. He has done more for me than what I could ever repay him for. And hopefully he sees this. I'm sure he will. He's all about, he supports his players and his coaches. He is the most selfless human I know, and he's great. And I have said that, and I will go on record. The man literally took a guy that nobody really gave a shot to and laughed at in the first place. So
It
for me,
only takes one person, right?
yep,
And
only
he
takes one
was the
person.
person.
Yep.
So well done, coach.
Yeah. So luckily I've had two.
You
So
had two.
not a lot of people. So thank God for Nick Johnson at Earlham College, and thank God for Rick Chamberlain at Dayton. Both great humans. Very fortunate to work for both of those men.
Yeah. It's just a great story. And then when you finally moved on to Dayton, and how long were you there, coaching there, and what was the reaction of guys on the team?
So I was at Earlham for 2 years. Program got shut down. We went 0-20, 53 straight losses. We were actually on Barstool Sports as the worst college football program in history. So that's how my career got started, as being a guy that was on the worst college football team in history. But the beautiful thing about that is you can't go nowhere but up from right there. So for me, so how I got over at Dayton, I emailed Coach Chamberlain probably 7 times. Like, I blew up his email. Like, I was like, hey, is there any paid spots open? No. Hey, is there any paid spots open? No. And then the final time I was like, I tell you what, my program got shut down. I'm willing to volunteer. Let's talk. You let me know when you want to sit down. And he was just like, let's talk. Let's sit down. Let's have an interview. He said, I love your passion. He said, I love your enthusiasm. He said, you're somebody that I would want around my program. And that means a lot from a coach that's been there for, I think this is going to be his 48th year at UD.
Wow.
As a player, as an assistant, and as the head coach. The man has not left. He is a Dayton guy through and through. He's
a legend over there.
Yes. Absolute legend. So he's never going to leave. Future college football Hall of Famer, most likely as a coach, well deserved. But he's like, let's sit down and talk. And then so he called the coaches at Earlham, said, this guy's going to give you everything he's got, and then some, bring him in. So my thing is that you cannot be a disciplinarian as a coach without knowing the guys first. So for me, getting in there and just being another one of the guys and being another coach and like, I'm here for you. Like the guys knew that like, you didn't pick me, I picked you. So I'm going to give you everything I've got and then some. I love every single player I've ever coached. And I'm not a guy to be ashamed to tell players that I love them. My players tell me that they love me all the time. So their reaction, they welcomed me with open arms first day from day one. And the relationships only grew from there. I've had guys pick me up at my lowest point that played for me. I've had guys call me. I had a Zoom call with like 9 or 10 of my players, just doing a wellness check and just checking in, and like that in itself,
It's beautiful.
Just the love, I'm telling you, it's
yeah.
That genuine unconditional love is something I've never experienced outside of some of my blood relatives. So for me, it's a very special bond with those players. And
it was a pivotal moment in your life because you struggled in school with these same issues, but you took that same principle of being kind to everybody and showing people that, hey, you're just a nice guy if they just get to know you. You did the same thing when you transitioned into coaching, and that's why you have such a great relationship with all the players. Now let's turn to, because I want to remind everybody that June is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month, PTSD. And Jeris has shared with me that he's actually been diagnosed with PTSD, and I wanted him to share a little bit about his experience. So let us know what it's like for you. And then the second part of the question would be, what do you want people to know about PTSD?
So what it's like for me, it was a struggle because I didn't know how to ask for help. A lot of us don't like to ask for help, especially as a male in today's society. Asking for help is a sign of weakness.
Good point.
And you can't really like reach out and be like, hey, I'm really struggling. So my bullying and the things that I've been through, and it was really a struggle for me to, I pushed those things down. I got through them. I had a great childhood. But as I transitioned into adulthood, those things started coming back. I was ruining relationships with people I really loved, and I was not a good person. And it took me losing absolutely everything back in November to really like hit rock bottom to go back up.
How did you know that were there any signs, like for people who might not know much about PTSD, were there any signs for you?
I was getting really angry at nothing. Okay. I was getting really frustrated at nothing. I was outbursting at nothing. Small things without communication for people would make me snap. And it took me losing a relationship that I wanted to last the rest of my life to really wake me up. Given it didn't end the way that I wanted it to, it was rocky. That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But losing her really pushed me to be better, and to go get the help that I needed.
So how did you get over, like you said, a lot of people, whether it's men, women, there's unfortunately, there's still a stigma when it comes to mental health, and so many of us are outspoken about that and trying to end the stigma. And you were able to ask for help. Was there something, I know the relationship didn't work out, but was there something where you were able to say to yourself, there's nothing wrong with getting help, and then you finally did?
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to feel like this, and I don't want to bleed on people that did not cut me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're just going to have him repeat that again, because that's so important. Say that again.
I did not want to bleed on people that did not cut me.
Love it.
Because the way that I was before I got help, everybody was out to hurt me in some way. I was convinced that one way or another, like eventually at some point you're going to hurt me so bad. So I'm going to self-sabotage everything that I can to make sure that I stop that, only to hurt myself in the long run. And that took a lot of self-evaluation and reflection. That took about 6 months to kind of like, just now, I'm just now in a spot where I'm so incredibly happy. And, and it is life-changing to go get help and to just talk to somebody who's not there to judge you, but to listen.
Yes, exactly. I speak to someone twice a month. You're exactly right. It's their job to listen to you and help give you the tools that you need to, improve whatever you want to improve, in your life or your mental state of your mental health. So you're doing good now. Everything's much better.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm so happy to hear that. And before we let everybody go, I know something huge is coming up for you. What are you going to be doing this summer? And if you want to tell us about something that, ESPN might be kind of involved somewhere.
Yeah. So I got an internship with the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I'll be working with their strength and conditioning staff and for their football program. And the Big Ten is a very big conference in college football, and it's a life-changing experience for me. And it's great. So I'm looking forward to that. And ESPN reached out to me, possibly wanting to do an interview on my story on College Game Day and do a feature. Kind of waiting on that to get green lit.
Come on, ESPN.
Yeah, but so let's hope that happens. But that's big things are in the works. I actually leave next week for Madison. I leave a week from today. So
by the time this airs, you'll be there. So
I will be in Madison by the time this airs.
You'll be there.
but to answer your question about mental health,
ahead. Yeah.
The second part. What was the second part of that question?
I'm trying to think of what I asked you.
You said how would I handle it? And
how did you handle finally making the decision to get help? Like to say to yourself that, it's okay to ask for help or.
Well, for other people, I think it's important it's okay to not be okay. And I know a lot of people say that, and I know a lot, like seriously, it is okay to not be okay. I felt miserable for months. So, like I said, I mean, if you really want to reach out and go get help, I would highly advise it.
Me too.
Therapists are great. Like literally my therapist is a godsend. She is wonderful. So she has done nothing but complete 180. If you would have talked to me 6 months ago, you couldn't see like the light in my eyes, and it was a very, very dark spot. But getting out of that, I think it shows resiliency. You have to want it. Like nobody else is going to push you to go get it. Like you have to want it for yourself. And honestly, I wanted to salvage what relationships I had.
You're an example. You're an example of that because you asked for help. Not only are you feeling so much better, your relationships are much better. And the relationship you have with yourself is much better. Yep. And I commend you really, because that's what I want people to know is, hey, if Jeris can do it, if I can talk to a therapist, you can do it too. We can all encourage each other. Now, I know before we go, I know you like to describe yourself, and I love this, as a gentle giant who's going for your dreams. And that is just the perfect way to describe your story and the trajectory. It's not over, but now you've got these great things in the works, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed for you with ESPN. And so let us know, Jeris, where can people find you if they want to follow you?
Hey, follow me on Twitter at Coach Getter. Follow me on Instagram at Coach Getter. Also, I am on Facebook, Jeris Getter. You can add me, message me, talk to me, reach out, say, hey, I'm not somebody who's going to turn away a message.
That's how we met, right? Didn't you message me?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
I'm a guy that wants to reach out, and I like to talk. So I enjoy talking. So if you have any conversation, football, CP, anything, if you want to talk about, what kind of mustard you put on your hot dogs, I'm a guy.
I like yellow mustard, by the way.
I like Dijon mustard. I like spicy. Spicy mustard's my favorite. So,
oh man.
yeah, I'm all about the talking. So,
Yeah.
At Coach Getter or Jeris Getter on Facebook, JGetter15 on Snapchat.
There you go. And we'll make sure that we'll have probably the one that you use the most. Which one do you use the most? We'll put it in the show notes. Is it probably Instagram or?
I'd say Twitter. I use
All right.
Twitter. I'm on Instagram. So
then I'll put that on there.
Yep.
And for anyone who's interested in the cerebral palsy conference that's coming up on October 1st and 2nd, you can just go to the website. It's going to be coming across your screen, and just take a lesson from Jeris, because he is making things happen in his life, and you can do the same. There's no reason. Doesn't matter what's happened in your life, what's going on. You can get through it, and the sun will shine again. Thanks, Jeris. It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate it.